Hello, beautiful souls. So don't let the illusion of the light deceive you. It's really dark in my apartment. Like I said, I live in a ground level apartment, but again, I was guided to sit here. So we've got light codes here. I know you all can see this. This is incredible. Sometimes you can't see things with the human eyes that you can see, like that are captured on cameras, like orbs, like light codes. So there's a reason why I'm guided to sit here. So I got some of my Christmas stuff out. Christmas, I should say holiday, winter stuff. Because in the traditional sense, we don't celebrate the way some people do. We celebrate it in our way, and that's as it should be with every holiday, right? So we'll see what decides to come through today. So I am guided to share my experience today, as usually that's what these typically are, and maybe an oracle pull when we are done. So happy November 25th, 2025, 112525, and it is 30 days till that day if you celebrate that holiday. Okay, and yeah, we're just rolling here, keeping it real, keeping it raw, keeping it authentic. This is day 15 of 111 days of FreQSpeak, frequency energy, sharing my raw, real, authentic frequency and energy with you in this now present moment, being as present as possible, and just sharing how being more present has actually helped me just to be, there's more satiation in my days typically. And if you're in the frequency family, FreQSpeak, or the Divinely Aligned Collective, you've definitely heard this come through from Zero from Courtney on how to be more present, how to slow down. I will share today's experience because today, is today. And I'm going to share today's experience in being in the now present moment and flowing with my higher self, embodied as my higher self, listening to my intuition, and just going with the nudges and things like that, okay? Because I know a lot of people have a hard time doing that. They're always in this, have this list, I've got to get all of this done. It's got to be A, B, C, D, F, G. I've got to get it done now. It's got to have these schedules. And especially this time of year, I think that gets exponentially increased. So if you don't want to go to a dinner party, don't go to the dinner party. If that doesn't light you up and bring you joy, don't go. Stand in your sovereign frequency and be okay with that. It might upset people, and that's perfectly okay, right? But just stand in that. I actually had this conversation with my son's father yesterday. His parents wanted to go out to eat for Thanksgiving, and he's like, I don't. So he went and ordered someplace at one of the local stores. They do dinners and things like that. So he just ordered that. He goes, all I want to do is eat and watch football. I said, well, good job for standing in your sovereignty, standing in your boundaries, setting those boundaries, those healthy, firm boundaries, and they were fine with it. Even though your ego might say, oh shit, well, who am I going to offend and all that? Gotta quit worrying about that, peeps. Gotta quit worrying about that. So before we get started, this might be again like those key codes, sign and synchronicities. I had just an immense stabbing tooth pain, like my teeth are good. So I don't know if someone needs to or is experiencing jaw pain or tooth pain, and this was on my right side. Again, I like to share this because this might just mean that this message is in resonance, or you need to hear this message, or you might need to go check your tooth out. The other thing with the mouth and jaw, it's part of that throat chakra, cleansing and clearing, and most people, and I can relate, have spent lifetimes that were cleansing and clearing and activating our throat chakras in many waves. I've had many waves of throat chakra healing, clearing, and activations this entire year for sure. So I just want to note that, and again, maybe that's just for me, that I just had, and it's fine now. I just randomly had this like almost really excruciating dull ache, and I'm like, Spirit, what is going on here? Also, it is November 25th, and yes, I can still get watermelon. So I'm going to eat watermelon. This is lunch. I had watermelon for breakfast. Yeah. And this round I put a little salt and lemon or lime juice. So again, all that might be relevant. None of that might be relevant. Okay. All right. So what are we going to talk about today? Pausing. Okay. Taking those sacred pauses throughout your day, listening to your intuition more, your inspired action, taking inspired action. Okay. So I'll use my son as an example. He is on the spectrum. We know it's a spectrum. Okay. I am also neurodivergent. Didn't realize that until this year. I actually have traits. Females are diagnosed differently than males. So I only knew 544 on the clock. What a typical male diagnosis of being on the spectrum or neurodivergent look like. And then something, again, spirit dropped things in my awareness just out of the ethers and said, maybe take a look at this. And it resonated. And it made a lot more sense to me. Like my childhood, the parts that I do get to remember were in resonance. Schooling and all of that was completely spot on. So anyways, he likes schedules. He likes structure. And to a degree, up until more recently, we would follow somewhat of a schedule and a structure, but it wasn't like hardcore. And this just goes back to that programming, that programming that is in our genes from generations. It's pretty crazy to think. You don't think that, okay, just because your parents aren't scheduled people, they don't follow a schedule, but now your kid's like hyper obsessed, hyper focused on schedules. That's in the genes. That's in the DNA. That's legit. And I've seen that with him many times over like the lack mentality. Like we never talk about not having enough. We always have enough between me and his father. He's never felt there be lack, but he talks about that lack mentality, which is fascinating because we do not speak of that. We don't speak about that in our homes, either of our homes. So it's quite fascinating on just the programming of the lack mentality, how deeply embedded and programmed that is into our genetics, into our lineages that has gone generations back. If you know, you know. Okay, and that's that unprogramming, so we can reprogram the computer, your operating system. You have to delete, upgrade, release, so we can make room for the new software, the new program in your operating system, which is this human avatar that we are, that our soul is embodied in this, that our higher self is operating through. Okay, so this morning, and I do this often through the day, some days more than others. Excuse me. We went out to the car as we normally do, and I'm just sitting there doing a few things, and he's like, Mom, we got to go. We're going to be late. I said, we're not going to be late. We're perfectly on time. Again, I said, he goes, what are you doing? I said, we're taking a sacred pause. So taking that extra few seconds, minutes, whatever it is, to adjust instead of rush, to pause instead of rush, then we go. And I do this a lot more consciously before I go into a store or when I get back into the car and then leave the store to go another place. I just pause. I'm not rushing in and out of my vehicle, not rushing to and from my vehicle. I used to live in that mentality. Again, it's that fight or flight that I've been living in my entire life, and our nervous systems are done. So again, if you're in the Divinely Aligned Collective, you've heard Courtney say, Zero say, take rich days. Don't wait until you're sick to take a sick day. Rich days. Take your rich day. And I thought that was fascinating because I'm not in that particular part of the community, but I resonate with that because this entire year or more has been many, many rich days, but sources provided everything that I've needed during this healing process that I was able to do that often, more often than people that are still working the 9 to 5, still doing the grind and all of that, which is fine. There is no judgment. This is just how my reality has been laid out, how my soul contracted this particular part of this awakening ascension in this healing, that I needed literally everything and everyone cleared out of my space except for like a few people. So my nervous system could heal. I've spent almost over an entire year consciously healing my nervous system. And it's again that hustle, that energy, 10:05 on the clock. So again, it's that perspective, that higher perspective, looking back, not knowing what was going on earlier in the year, that I can look back and say, I get it now. Or hearing these things come in now, I get it now. I've had many, many rich days. I don't get sick very often. I don't. But for me, a lot of my days are rich days, taking that pause, spending my Sunday mornings, getting out of bed 2 hours after I wake up, sitting on the couch, getting my coffee and my fruit or whatever, and sitting down and putting on a screen that's got fire and the beach and the ocean, and just drinking my coffee and eating my fruit while I'm listening to a live podcast, a channeled message, if you know what I mean, and just taking those moments of pause. And I would do that outside when it was warm. I would take these sacred pauses throughout your day. So, just take these sacred pauses, just pause before you leave the house. Take a couple deep breaths when you get into your car. Take a couple deep breaths. Set your intentions before you get out of the car to go into the store. Do you see where I'm going with this? This is what I'm really guided to talk about today, because this has been most of my year. 1122 on the clock. Thank you, Spirit. So just sharing my personal experience, again, just being aware of that in that moment. And I'm like, dude, we don't need to like rush around. There's no reason. Our life does not need to be rushed. Like it hasn't for a long time. And there's a reason for that. It's being in that sympathetic, or going from a sympathetic state since birth to a parasympathetic state was rest and digest. So that fight or flight or rest and digest. So I've been in this rest and digest, this sacred pause, this entire year during this healing. And eventually I'll do a super duper long video, 1202 on the clock, about that, because there's a lot that goes into it, and there's waves of that. Okay. Let me take a quick pause. Eat my watermelon, because it's real, it's messy, it's raw, and it's authentic here, right? Yep. That's what we do. All right. So on to the next thing that happened this morning before I get into pulling the holiday stuff out. So our sacred mirrors, our best teachers, our children, our partners, our parents, our family. My son unconsciously triggers his father. Whatever deep wounds he is still holding on to of being seen, heard, and feeling safe and secure, my son triggers that. So if my son doesn't want to talk to us, days, I just don't want to talk to you, or he ignores, when his dad calls or whatever, and like he takes it way too personally. But again, where I'm at now, I just don't really say anything anymore, because then I trigger him to get even more and more upset. So I just kind of just leave it most of the time. And it's because now I know that wherever he wasn't getting what he needed as a small person or a young person is being surfaced through our son as being that sacred mirror. And he is one of his biggest triggers. It's fat. I made that connection this morning. I mean, I had an idea, but I made that connection for sure this morning in the car. So the other thing that kind of got me into getting my holiday stuff or my winter stuff out was I've not been sleeping well. So I don't know about anyone else. So we're 14 minutes in. So 14 might be resonant with somebody, 1404. That like I said, I've spent 9 to 10 hours in bed when I'm with the kiddo, and 10 to 12 hours in bed sleeping or attempting to sleep when he's not here. And that's because energetically, this physical realm, there's not a lot of stuff being done. I mean, the resting and the healing is huge, but the human and the ego, or the ego and the mind, think you're not getting anything done when you're resting, when you're doing everything in the rest and in the pause. Everything is getting done in that state. So because of the sleep, like last night at 6 o'clock, I could have crawled into bed if I didn't have the kiddo. I did go to bed at 8 or 7:30. I mean, he's old enough now that he can manage certain things, and if he needs me, he can come and get me. And I didn't sleep great. The last few nights, a lot of tossing and turning. So there's a lot, again, astrologically going on. So you might be feeling this. But I also know, and I've known this for a while, that I do work, whether I consciously remember that in my, when I wake up, as I'm sitting on councils, I'm doing work in the astral realm, the etheric realms. We're getting stuff done there. I don't remember. I just know, and I feel it in my bones, and I've just known this for a while. And I've said this, I verbalize this many times. Like my partner says, "Why do you think you're so tired?" Well, it's because I'm doing work. We are doing work in the higher realms, whether you remember it or not. And so your soul leaves the body every night, goes and does work, plays, does whatever it needs to be doing. And so that's, again, this was a morning, like I was exhausted, again, not doing anything. Most of the time my days are what one would say if you were from the outside looking in, thinking, what the fuck does she do all day? What is she getting done? Why is she so tired? All right, Spirit's laughing. Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. And so, like, why am I exhausted at 6 o'clock at night, you know? And then I go to bed and I can't go to sleep. So it's like that wired and that tired. And then when you do fall asleep, then you're flopping around and all of the stuff. Yeah. So I had no desire. I thought maybe I was going to do some dancey type cardio this morning. This morning, like, I had no desire, like zero desire. And just, again, moving through my morning slow and purposefully, taking those breaths, taking those pauses, and just kept thinking, okay, what are we doing today? Spirit, what are we doing today? Higher self, source, and just kind of just going with it. And so I had some errands to run. I said, okay. So I took the kid to school, and I'm like, okay, I guess we're gonna go get those done. And forgot I had bought a watermelon yesterday, and was guided to go get another watermelon today, even though I literally completely forgot I had a watermelon in the, like, I completely forgot, like it completely left my brain for some reason. Higher self just said, whoop. So again, I was thinking, oh, I'll just go get a watermelon, because the store was super busy with everyone buying their food and stuff for the holiday feasts this week, and it was just really busy. And so I put it in there, and we couldn't fill up our water jugs last night, which again, that was meant to be for everything to roll out today. So when I went to get the water jugs, 17:33 on the clock, when I went to get the water jugs out, I realized there's that watermelon that I forgot I bought less than 12 hours before. Whatever. So I went in and got the few items I needed, bought another watermelon, filled up my water jugs because I was able to fill those up. It's just funny how when you go with the flow and you just embody your higher self in the flow of the universe, it's pretty magical on just how things just unfold, especially if you're paying your attention to these things, these small things along the way. So again, not knowing what was coming next, again, just feeling this lull, this just this fatigue. I'm like, well, I guess I'm just gonna hang out. It's rainy, it's cloudy, I'm just gonna hang out today and just meditate, read, pull some cards, listen to some channeled messages. So I get home and I'm like, oh, I felt like this, like from the time I left the store till getting home, like 10 minutes, just felt like the space was energetically needing a shift. And we've talked about that. You've heard many of us talk about the shifts, and just, but sometimes hearing everyone's personal experience might help you, That's why we're here, sharing our messy, magical selves on a daily basis, not knowing what should be shared. So this is just sharing my shit, sharing my stuff, sharing my life. And so I get home and I'm like, and plug in my channeled messages, my tarot, whatever I plugged in, tarot readings. And I wanted to make a coffee and have some watermelon. So I chopped up the watermelon that I forgot yesterday, had my coffee. I don't have coffee every day, I just have it when I feel like I want it. Sat on the couch, again, in front of the TV that's got the fire in the ocean on it, and wanted to listen to Courtney and Zero's message that she posted today or from yesterday, whenever. And there was a meditation in there from Zero that she was guided to share out. So after I was done eating, I did the meditation, and after I did the meditation, I felt a little better. Like energetically, things shifted just from the meditation. So even though you might not feel like it, like in the moment, like, oh, it was just, just go with the feeling, the inspiration. I don't know, find the words for it. But you know, things felt different. I felt like in that moment, I'm like, man, I just need to shift the energy in my space. And typically over years, I didn't get holiday stuff or Christmas stuff out or winter stuff out until after Thanksgiving. So whether it be the weekend after or the following week, but just energetically, like it was just like pulling really hard. Like my space was, the energy of my home, my sacred space was saying, we just need a change. We need to change things up. And so I listened to my space. So that was my space talking to me, letting me know we need to shift something. And you might feel that pull. It's like a rope. Like there might be a gentle pull, or if you ignore it, it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And this got to be like a really pull strong. I'm like, all right, well, I'll get the boxes out. And then getting the boxes out, and like, so in the boxes of getting out, I was also packing up and putting away the fall stuff, the fall decorations, the flowers, and getting all the stuff that I take all my gourds and pumpkins and I leave them outside for the squirrels, because that's important for them. So if you have pumpkins, don't throw them in the trash. If you have gourds, leave them, compost them, put them somewhere where the squirrels and the critters can get to them for the winter, because they're going to need that sustenance, that food. So that's just energetically that collaborating, co-creating, that sharing with Gaia and its creatures, right? So I've seen pumpkins in the trash, just put them outside for the critters. That's so important for them this time of year. Okay, so doing the shifting, again, no rhyme or reason, and there's no, like, some people will say, okay, this is how we're going to structure getting this out. Mine was back and forth, putting fall stuff away, packing fall stuff away, getting stuff to go outside, but getting the Christmas stuff out, pulling this out and pulling that out, and da. So consciously aware that there is absolutely no structure on this, and that's exactly how it was supposed to be, and how it was meant to unfold. Which, again, don't force the unfoldment. Let the whatever you're doing unfold itself. So whether that's putting things away or getting things out, 2214 on the clock, or if you feel like you need to get rid of some clothing or some knickknacks or dishes or whatever, clean your cupboards out, whatever. If you're feeling that call, again, don't force it. Don't think I have to get this done. But if you're like, your space is energetically telling you we need a little bit of a shift and a change, whether that's moving this over here or this over here, when this is always here and this is always there. So energetically shift and change. So I don't always put my stuff out in the same place when I pull it out. Like I don't. Sometimes it lands in the same place. Sometimes it lands in a completely different place. So that's another way of just constantly energetically shifting. And it'll sit here, and, once we get our tree, and, I will adjust it if it needs to be adjusted along the way, or I will just leave it, right? I'll just kind of let it sit, let my space talk to me. And I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody else, but since I've been really tapped in, my plants tell me, energetically, they're like, hey, we need some water. They do need pots. Like a couple of them have really just, and they need bigger pots. So they've been telling me, man, we need space for our legs, And so they've been letting me know that. But just my whole this is my sacred safe space. I've really created my home as a divine space to hold me in this cocoon, in this gestational period, in this sacred pause, while I've been doing this healing work, because I enjoy being here. When I didn't, I would get really uncomfortable in the past of being alone, of being in this space by myself, all of this stuff. So maybe some of this will resonate with you, some of it, or all of it. So last year was that energetic shift where I was just really comfortable with taking more pauses, taking more rest, honoring my body, honoring my soul, honoring the nothingness, the dolce far niente, the sweetness of doing nothing. I don't speak Italian, but dolce far niente was off, I think, Eat, Pray, Love. And it's the sweetness of doing nothing. So the sweetness of just doing nothing, whether it's just eating some watermelon, taking a gentle walk, watching your favorite show without guilt, without shame, without any of that stuff. Okay? Let's breathe. and just constantly slowing down. Be conscious of your slowing of your speak, slowing of the body movements, the sacred pauses throughout the day. Being in my kitchen in the morning and just closing my eyes and grounding myself, putting the hands on the counter of my food and just or my water and just breathing. And just feel the energy of what's around me and what's inside of me and just energetically tap in. So I've been trying to consciously do that more often when it feels right, when I'm called to. I don't do it because I'm trying to get something out of it. I'm doing it because I'm called to, called to do so. All right. I'm also called to talk about that rope pulling, that tugging at you. So I'm going to share this. It's 2544 on the clock, and then I think I will pull a couple of tarot cards and share a couple of things. So we'll see. Maybe I'll do the card pull separate. We'll see. So I've been getting this pull for a few days, up to a week. So just having this pull and tug to reach out to my partner's, one of his family members who's been going through some stuff. I'm not going to give details. Just this pull, whether they respond or not, because there's been a lot this year that I haven't shared about that whole dynamic of this healing process. But I'm just like, spirits, higher self, sources, like just send a message, just reach out, and I'm like, okay. This, definitely a few days. This has been, just pull. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And just, they're like pulling harder on the rope, the invisible rope. Like, you please reach out. Not knowing, like I said, whether there's going to be a response or not, just that pull, that tug, like, listen to that. Even if it's a family member you've been disconnected with for many, many years, or a friend, or whatever it is, work, whatever. If you're getting this nudge, you're like, okay, you can sit and meditate on it and say, okay, spirit, just let me know when the time is right. And then they're going to drop in and keep pulling. And today it was like, please just, I'm like, okay, I'm listening because it was getting increasingly stronger and stronger. I just, again, have been better and better at honoring those intuitive nudges, those inspired actions, those feelings that I get. And so I did. And whether there's a response, that's fine. The old me would have been like chasing for a response, and now it's like it's out there. I was meant to do that. That's what source, my higher self, wanted to do. Probably their higher self was in contact saying, reach out. I don't need to know the why behind that. And that's beautiful just the way it is. Okay. So I think that's all I'm guided to share. 2808. So again, in my cleaning process, I've had these up on my bar. Before I started journaling, I would just, like I said, take these little notes and put them all over the house. You can use sticky notes. If it's something, like I said yesterday, you want to see often, like, so I would see these daily. I had them like up there where my keys were, near my keys were. And I wish I dated when I wrote these, maybe in April, probably. So this was a calendar my son I thought he'd like, and he didn't, so I just would use these for notes. So probably around April is when I wrote this, and it says every day gets better and better for me. So every day gets better and better for you, for the collective, for us. Okay? And then this is something, I don't know where the kiddo got this, because sometimes he just says things. And again, listen to your kids. Sorry, my video was changing. And something came out of his mouth, again, at the beginning parts of my healing journey. And he said, it'll take as long as it takes. No idea where he got that from. I don't know the circumstances around that. Probably going through something. And he said, it'll take as long as it takes. And I'm like, I gotta write that down. I don't know where he got that, where spirit had him say that when he's sitting. So maybe you need to hear these. Every day gets better and better for you. I promise you. And it'll take as long as it takes. It's all in divine timing. And y'all know how I feel about that. I feel ya. When you hear us say that, when you hear readers say that, when you hear channelers say that, I feel ya. I hear ya. It's just surrendering to the process. It's always going back to patience, pause, and surrender. Patience, pause, and surrender. Resonance, remembrance is your resonance is your remembrance. Okay, so that's all that is there. And so I will do an oracle card pull, but I'll make a separate video on that. I might do some light language if it feels like it wants to come through. I'll record a video, so there might be 2 videos today. There might be just this video. Again, not forcing anything. It is already 1:30. Time, I'm telling you, I tried to explain this to someone yesterday. The less you do, the faster time goes, and the more comfortable you, I don't know, like, Spirit, I don't know how to word this. Like, the less you do, the faster time goes, or it has for me. It's November 25th. Holy heck. There's so much that we all have been through on this journey this year and up until this point, that it's just incredible how fast time is collapsing, how rapidly you're constantly jumping timelines or quantum jumping. It's been really incredible. Like, I can't really sit back and remember a month ago, let alone 9 months ago or 10 months ago, but a lot has happened because those old versions of me don't exist anymore. I'm the same, but I'm not, right? Things have shifted. I've healed. I've done the work. Not to say that there's no work that still doesn't need to be done or that healing doesn't need to take place, but the big shit, I've been working on the big shit for a while. So yeah, so just pay your attention to time around you. Is it speeding up or slowing down, or feels like it's malleable like taffy? Like you can actually play with time? Play with time? So yeah. So just take a pause. I know it's getting to be that time of year where everyone gets all wrapped up in the bullshit and the nonsense. You don't have to get wrapped up in the bullshit and nonsense. That's a choice. That's a decision. You don't have to participate if you don't want to participate. Now, if the participation brings you joy and happiness, by all means, do it. But if your soul is asking you to stay home, be still, cook a meal for yourself. I've done that many times over the years. I'm typically by myself during the holidays for large chunks of it. Unless I was with my partner's family. Definitely not with my family dynamic. That's a whole nother story. Or just with me and the kiddo. Or just me by myself. Or just me and my partner. But mostly, if you were to look at the span of it, it's mostly just being in the space and in the energy by myself. So making my own meals and things like that and all of that. I don't even know how it's going to look for me, because I'm not eating all of the stuff that most people are eating this time of year. Like I said, I'm eating a lot of fruit, a lot of tubers, not a lot of fruit, tubers, some oats, maybe, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty crazy. I will do a food, 3311 on the clock. I will do a food video eventually. So thank you for hanging out with me today. I love all of you beautiful souls. Thank you for tuning in to me sharing my raw, authentic, magical, magnificent, magnetic self with you, with the collective, on this rainy, beautiful, cloudy day with these beautiful light codes that are still streaming in, which is just the magic of source, of spirit, here with us. And I will see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.